Hey guys, good morning or good afternoon. Hope things are going good. We are gonna start our last lesson for phase 2. I do have a meeting today to figure out what phase 3 is gonna look like. More than likely though, it's probably gonna be very similar to what we're doing right now. Today we have a pretty short lesson, and then you've got a digestion lab that you can do at home. I'm hoping you guys will, and you'll send me pictures because last year when I was able to do it in class, it's pretty funny. So yesterday, or not yesterday, but last class, we went over ruminant digestion. So we did, talked about cows, sheep, goats, deer, llamas. All of those are animals that are considered to be ruminants because they have a very different digestive system than animals like pigs and cats and dogs and birds and people do. So that one, you may need to go back, review that lesson. I definitely encourage it because you want to know the different parts of the stomach. You want to know what they do. But the other parts, like the esophagus and the small intestine and the large intestine, those parts do the same thing in ruminants and animals that are called simple stomach animals, which are like dogs and cats and pigs and people. So today we're going over non-ruminant digestive systems. There's 2 different ones. We're going to go over the first one, which is just simple stomach. So dogs, cats, pigs, and people, most commonly. Let's see, here we go. So non-ruminants, here we go. So a non-ruminant is an animal that's considered to be monogastric. Keep in mind that mono means one. So technically, ruminants are monogastric because they only have one stomach. But when we say monogastric in reference to how an animal digests their food, we mean that they have a single compartment stomach, whereas ruminants, they have a 4-compartment stomach. All animals only have one stomach, but it depends on how many different compartments the animal has or how many different stomach compartments they have to be able to digest food. Horses, pigs, cats, dog, and poultry are all examples of monogastric animals, animals with one compartmented stomach. Non-ruminants, we as humans, and then you can also look at animals like pigs and dogs and cats, eat things very different than what cows and sheep and goats and deer eat. They eat a lot of grass. They eat a lot of like green roughages. We don't eat a whole lot of that. The reason that we don't eat a lot of that is because our stomach isn't designed to be able to break that food down. We could eat it, but it's going to come out looking exactly the same because our body doesn't have the necessary enzymes and microbes to be able to break that stuff down. The only reason cows can even break that stuff down is because of the microbes that they have in their rumen. And even then, they have to grind it up very, very, very finely so that the microbes, it's small enough that the microbes can work on breaking it down into those tiny nutrients that it needs to be in. So the parts of the ruminant stomach, or the non-ruminant stomach, excuse me, got the mouth. All animals have a mouth. The esophagus is this tube right here, whose job it is to take the food from the mouth to the stomach. So in non-ruminant animals or monogastric animals, the stomach contains all these enzymes and digestive juices that kind of work together to break down the food. It's called chemical digestion, where there's chemicals being used to break down the food. Once the food is broken down enough into those nutrients, like the carbohydrates, the fats, the proteins, once it's broken down into those small nutrients, then it's able to move to the small intestine. The small intestine is where nutrients get absorbed and they get sent out to wherever the animal needs it. If this dog has a cut on his leg, they're going to send some protein there. If the dog runs a lot, they're going to be sending some carbohydrates also to the legs so that legs have enough energy to continue allowing the dog to run. The cecum, you can't really see it on this picture, but I think in the next one you can. The cecum is right between the small intestine and the large intestine. And sometimes you'll see the large intestine called the colon. So just know if you see colon, you can go in and write down like large intestine there. But the cecum is this little bitty organ that would be right about where my mouse is. The cecum works on digesting roughages, so works on digesting the things that cows eat. But in simple stomached animals and monogastric animals, the cecum is very, very tiny. So if this animal's eating a lot of roughages and you've only got a little cecum this big to be able to break it down, you're not going to have a whole lot of digestion actually occurring to the roughages because the cecum's only this big. So with the cecum being that small, animals, simple stomach animals, they eat something different. They eat meat. They can eat some plants that aren't super duper high in fiber. They have to eat things that aren't very high in fiber because that's what helps the microbes be able to break things down. The microbes work on breaking down things that are really high in fiber. Accessory glands, so there are accessory glands to the digestive system. An accessory gland or an accessory organ, think of like what an accessory is. So I'm gonna talk to the girls here because this is the easiest way that I can explain this. So when you put on your outfit, I guess this can go for guys too. When you put on your outfit, you're figuring out, okay, what else am I gonna wear to make this outfit look better? You might put on a watch because that watch is an accessory. It's gonna help you look better. You might put on some earrings, maybe a necklace, maybe some rings. You're gonna put on something, some kind of accessory. Maybe it's like a bag, a handbag. You're gonna grab some other things to try to make your outfit look better. Accessory glands do something really similar where they try to help the digestive system function better. So the liver is an accessory gland. The liver produces bile, and that's like when you have those like really nasty burps or like acid reflux, that's a little bit of bile accidentally making its way up, and it burns because the bile is very, very acidic, and it works on breaking down fat. Because fats are really difficult for animals to be able to digest. That's part of the reason that like animals gain weight so easily, is because our bodies struggle to break down things high in fat because we don't really have anything outside of the liver and the gallbladder. We don't really have anything that can break down fat. And the liver and the gallbladder are only accessory glands. It can't break down all the fat that we consume if we consume a lot of fat. It can only break down a little bit because they're just an accessory gland. They're not a major organ. And then the pancreas is also an accessory organ. The pancreas works on producing insulin to help break down sugar because sugar is also pretty difficult for our bodies to be able to break down. They're very complex nutrients. And because they're so complex, we need accessory organs to be able to help our bodies be able to break everything down. Okay, so we also covered the large intestine, so good. The large intestine's job is, it's like the last stop before the food leaves the digestive system. Once the food gets in the large intestine just kind of squeezes it to get out any extra water so that all you have left is poop. Hopefully, it's not super liquidy poop, because if it's super liquidy poop, then our large intestine isn't doing something that it's supposed to be doing. Large intestine is supposed to take out a lot of water and liquid so that the poop is mostly solid. Once the large intestine does its job, then it hits the anus or the rectum. That's where it gets excreted. Goodbye, adios. The food has made its way from the mouth to the anus, all the way through the digestive system. So here's a picture of a monogastric system. Anterior is just a word meaning towards the head. Posterior means towards the back end, towards the butt. Dorsal means towards the back. So think of like a dolphin with a dorsal fin. And then ventral means towards the stomach. And these are just kind of vocabulary words to help you figure out where exactly these organs are. So the digestive system starts when the pig or the animal eats something in its mouth. The salivary glands, they can also be considered accessory glands. So they produce saliva to help kind of coat the food. It's called a bolus to make sure the bolus is moist to go down the esophagus. If the salivary glands don't produce enough saliva, then, you know, like when you chew something too quickly or you don't chew it good enough and it almost like gets stuck in your throat and you're kind of choking and it feels like it's stuck, that's because you didn't get enough saliva in your food and it gets kind of stuck. The saliva works on kind of lubricating the food so that it's able to get from the mouth down to the esophagus, or down to the stomach. So it goes down the esophagus into the stomach. The stomach is where we contain all these different digestive juices that works on trying to break down food from whatever this pig just ate. It ate some corn, it ate some slop, might have had like a little bit of grain in there, bunch of different stuff. The stomach works on producing these juices so that it's able to try to break these things down. Once it breaks it down as much as it can, as it's moving its way from the stomach to the small intestine, here are our accessory organs. The liver and the gallbladder produce bile to break down fat. So as it's moving from the stomach to the small intestine, the liver and the gallbladder are saying, oh, here's a little bit of bile. Let me help you break down that fat. And then the pancreas is saying, here's a little bit of insulin so that we can try to break down that sugar. Once it goes through there, then it has to make its way through the small intestine. If you remember from yesterday's lesson, the small intestine is like 90% of the length of the entire digestive system. It's very, very, very long. So as it's moving its way through the small intestine is trying to grab all those little nutrients, grab some carbohydrates, grab some protein, grab some vitamins, trying to grab all these different nutrients to absorb it and send it to wherever it needs to be sent. Then once it makes its way here, here's a little cecum. It's just like this little offshoot organ. If there's any roughage in there, then the cecum tries to grab it and work on breaking it down, but it's not very big. It's honestly probably smaller than this. It tries to grab it and break it down. Then it continues moving through the large intestine, where the large intestine is squeezing it, trying to get any liquid or water out. This also helps the body to stay hydrated. It's soaking up this water to make sure that we're hydrated. If it moves too quickly through, or the large intestine doesn't absorb enough water, when it comes out of the anus, it's going to be diarrhea. But if the large intestine has enough time to be able to squeeze all the water out, think of like literally like wringing a towel out. If you don't wring that towel out good enough, the towel's still going to be soaking wet. But if you're able to kind of go through and wring that towel out good, then the towel is going to be relatively dry. That's kind of how the large intestine works. And then what's left is going to be excreted out of the anus as poop. So one thing, here, I'll come back to this section. We were going to do a Play-Doh model. If you have Play-Doh, you are more than welcome to try this. I would love to see your Play-Doh models of a digestive system. If you don't have a Play-Doh model, that is completely fine. I'm uploading this. It's very similar to the cow digestive system that y'all had to label last class, where it's a PowerPoint. You can go in, you can hit your little text box, you can type that this is the da-da-da-da-da, whatever. So I want you guys to work on labeling that. And then what I want you guys to try to do, this is a digestion experiment. I wouldn't really call it an experiment. It's more like a lab. I'm going to be uploading an instruction sheet to go along with it, but you're gonna need like a plate. If you got gloves, some gloves, you would probably appreciate some gloves. If you don't, oh well. And then some paper towels. You're also gonna need like a little bit of water and maybe like a piece of bread or something that's kind of like soft. So you're gonna, using these things, you are gonna walk through and simulate like how digestion happens in a simple stomached animal. So step number 1, chewing the food. You're gonna tear your bread into these small little pieces. Then the next thing that happens is the spit lubricates the food so that it doesn't get stuck in the esophagus. So you're gonna get a little bit of water, and you're not gonna soak or saturate your food. You're gonna just get it a little bit moist. Then if you have some like vinegar works pretty good for simulating like stomach acid. If you don't, then just add a little bit more water. Once again, we don't want to like completely saturate it, but we do want it to be pretty wet. Then this is where the gloves come in kind of handy. You're gonna squeeze and mix, and this squeezing and mixing kind of acts like the stomach churning and trying to break down that food. Once you get it broken down in the stomach, the next stop for it to go is the small intestine. So you're gonna send it to the intestine by putting it on like a towel or paper towels. You're gonna kind of roll it into a log because it's gotta fit through the intestines, like the tube. So you have to roll it out kind of, I don't wanna say super thin, but roll it out in kind of a log like these people have it here. Then to simulate the small intestine, you're gonna kind of squeeze it just a little bit, and then you're gonna squeeze it again pretty hard to simulate the large intestine. The large intestine is trying to get all that water out so that you're left with hopefully solid poop. Then you can open up your towel. Ew, that looks like poop. It should. It should look like poop if you did the lab correctly. Then you can kind of like open up the towel or the paper towel, and you might be able to see like some little specks here, like, oh, here's some crumbs of like crust, here's some pieces of bread, and those are gonna be your nutrients that the body's worked on absorbing. Then you can throw it away, and that will act as the excretion. Animal just pooped. Food made its way through being chewed up, all the way to being excreted. So if you guys do that, I would love, love, love to see it, because it's pretty funny. But let me know how it goes for you guys. That's all I got for today. I'll let y'all know how phase 3 is gonna go. Keep in mind every Tuesday and Thursday, we do have Zoom lunch. If you'll have any questions about what we're doing in class, want some clarification, if you just wanna stop in and say, hey, Ms. Saunders, I would love to see you guys and also say hey back. So take it easy. Keep trying to do your work, stay focused, but hopefully I'll get to see you guys soon. Bye, guys.